Welcome back to Off the Thread Reds, where a group chat of above average Reds fans overanalyze, overreact, and keep coming back for more. This year, we'll bring you what's happening in the Reds season in real time and react to the highs and lows of being a Cincinnati Reds fan. Before we get going with this episode, we'll give you a little quick rundown on the games that have been played since our last episode. The first game we had was on Tuesday. This was against the Royals. The Reds won 5-4. Spring training doesn't matter, so score whatever. But box score looked great. Elly De La Cruz 1 for 3 with a home run. Gino went 2 for 3 with a home run, getting ready to play for Venezuela. Abbott and Brandon Williamson we'll probably talk a little bit more about, but they had a little bit of a below average start. Brandon Williamson came in hot and kind of cooled off in his second inning. And then today's game, Reds won 3-2. Player spotlights, Sal Stewart and J.J. Bleday both hitting home runs. Nick Lodolo looked fantastic, which we'll talk about. And Luis May had a 3K inning. Before we move on, guys, you got anything to include about the spring training games?
Yeah, can't be overstated that Gino's home run came right after Ellie's just to provide some excitement for all of us fans, hoping that we get to see a lot of that coming forward this year. And then also late in that Royals Reds game, Arroyo drove in Sal Stewart in the ninth inning, after a lot of the starters were out, but that's still just a little bit of a taste for hopefully what we're able to see a lot of maybe 2 to 3 years down the line with Arroyo. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, going off what Joe said, Ellie's been tearing the ball off, or tearing the cover off of the ball, I should say. Matt McLain, same. The guys that you're looking for to perform are performing. Speaking of Sal Stewart started a ninth inning rally against the Royals, came in today, had a home run. He's looking good at the dish. Above all, like, you're not able to watch it, so I can't cover too much on it, but the Cowboys telling us that the plate discipline looks good. It was good to see, right? We fought back in the ninth, even though it's a spring training game. We got some younger guys at bats. We got some guys who probably won't make the 26-man at bats. They fought back and got a win. Touching on how we spoke about that White Sox-Reds game and Nick Lodolo, he looked dominant. 4Ks, 2 innings, looked fantastic. The entire game was kind of just a couple of hits, couple of runs, nothing really too major. But once again, Sal Stewart poked one over the fence. Always good to see. And J.J. Bleday, we'd be remiss if we did not touch on him either. He's hitting the crap out of the ball, 460 on a home run, 2 RBIs today to combine with what he did 2 days ago. So everybody's kind of heating up. It's going to be fun to talk about who's going to make the roster, who's not going to make the roster.
So going off that, we can jump into our 26-man roster talk. The one thing that we do want to focus on is we're not going to go through the whole 26-man. We're all not going to give our own take on each player that's coming in, but we kind of want to give a rundown on the high or low of each player. So to start things off, I'll just give you guys a little quick rundown of what our comparisons are. The first one is Will Benson or Nathaniel Lowe. The second one is J.J. Bleday or Nathaniel Lowe. The next one is CES or Nathaniel Lowe. And the last one is What We Got or Nathaniel Lowe, which is, I think, is the same thing. So just, your thoughts and opinions on this 26-man roster, high or low.
The last one's kind of a win-win because we both end up with Nathaniel Lowe, personally. I think biasly, I think we take every other player besides Nathaniel Lowe. From first reaction, obviously, I'll let Joey and John give their statements, but it's tough. High or low with an E is a tough segment that we're bringing out to the world.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably assume if we're talking opening day roster, Nathaniel Lowe over CES because CES is hurt. So he is what we got. And then also, who would I currently in a postseason game, both healthy, who would I trust more to maybe get us a big hit? I'd probably go Nathaniel Lowe over CES. But I would hope by the end of the season, I would maybe choose CES, but I don't know if we'll even see any of him this year. John, what do you got?
I mean, realistically, the toughest thing for me to decide here is What We Got or Nathaniel Lowe, right? There's so much of What We Got, and there's only so much of Nathaniel Lowe. So when I think about it, I think I'll take what we got. Um, I'll take Will Benson. I'll take JJ Bleday. Um, I guess I'll take Nathaniel Lowe because I haven't seen CES in his rec specs, and since he has been able to see, but outside of that, Lowe is low on the totem pole.
Yeah, I think Nathaniel Lowe is a great player to have maybe as a backup for things that won't work, and hopefully we don't have to get to that point in the season. But I'm with you guys. I'm definitely hoping for the high and not the low during this season. Any other final thoughts before we move on to the 26 man?
Is Lowe like? Is he third string first base? Like, isn't there a world where like Spencer Steer is third string first baseman? Like,
because Gino is the second string.
yeah, is Gino your second man at
Yeah.
first behind Sal
Yeah.
Stewart, and then this is a pro Nathaniel Lowe podcast, obviously, but
Very pro.
very pro.
Yeah.
But he's not gonna be a Red.
I do realize as we are all saying this, it's going to sound completely asinine when I say, like, I've run through my 26-man roster a couple of times, and more than like a few, I've gotten to the point where Nathaniel Lowe makes the roster. And it's more so just like I tried to say on the last podcast, I really want the mentality of keeping players more at like one or two positions than having Steer hopping from left to second to first, or Suarez really, if he's going to be DHing in third base a little bit too. Like, I don't see the need to move him to first. I saw an interesting stat, especially with Ellie, like in years where he's consistent first baseman versus when we're rotating people at first base, some of his errors get cut down as well. So just in general, like if we're looking to give us a warm body with a heartbeat that will make everybody else not have to move so much, I could see Lowe getting a spot on the 26. I would say it wouldn't be the most shocking thing that could happen.
He's a big dude for Ellie to throw to also.
Yeah.
Goofy looking
Like,
big dude, but
I think people kind of forget. I mean, I do think Nathaniel Lowe peaked like 3-4 years ago in the MLB, but I mean, Silver Slugger. I mean, he showed out when he was on Texas, so like he's got that plus side to him. But I personally think the Reds got Nathaniel Lowe in case of an injury in spring training. If Steer went down again or something happened to Suarez, which I hope doesn't happen, but I think he's just back up. And I'm with Mark. Like, I don't think Nathaniel Lowe is going to be a Red going into this season if everybody's healthy. So, gotta love it. The high or low of the 26-man roster. But let's get into the actual high or low that we created here for the 26-man. So again, we're not going through our own personal roster of the 26, but we're just going to kind of talk about the hot takes, what might change, what might impact things throughout the year. So the first one I want to hit on is Will Benson or JJ Bleday. Same exact player, same positions. They basically are the same thing. What do you think the Reds' idea with this is, and who do you think is going to break the 26-man roster on opening day?
I think we touched on it last episode how JJ Bleday does have options, and Will Benson is familiar with the clubhouse a little bit. Tito's a little more familiar with him. So I do think all else equal, they perform equally throughout spring training, that they would probably give the nod to Benson. But Bleday's making it hard to leave camp without him.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we're being very literal with this and saying 4 games in just the plate appearances, Bleday looks like a firecracker right now. You'd be a lunatic to leave him off. Having said that, I'm going to continue trying to beat the Will Benson drum a little bit. I mean, last year alone, he led the team with barrel rate, hard hit rate, exit velo for at least 100 plate appearances. I think he was also statistically one of the most unlucky players in the game with expected batting average versus actual batting average. Now, all of this to say, he hasn't shown that he can be a consistent ball player a couple years in now. So I'm not saying he's going to put it all together. But when you have numbers like that, and even this year in spring training, he's got 1 hit for over 105 mile per hour that got robbed of a hit that was caught. He's got 1 home run. So I'm going to take Will Benson on the starting. And I will also say that I don't think Will Benson's leash should be terribly long. Especially if JJ Bleday continues this for spring in the first couple of weeks down the minors, he's still hitting well. I don't think you can give that much of a leash to Will Benson here.
Benson has 2 options. Bleday has 1 option left. So does that play a factor of team control on both? Like, would you start with Blade, or I guess I don't. You could do either or, where you can send Benson down to AAA one more time in theory, but you have to consider essentially once you do it to Blade, you're pretty much committed to him, or you're committed to Benson, vice versa. I don't know, it's just kind of food for thought.
Yeah, if
I
I were
think
to choose who I wanted, I think I would take JJ Bleday personally.
I think it's crazy that the Reds are in this situation. Like, you have 2+ platoon players that any MLB team would want if you're platooning a corner outfield position, and we just have an abundance of them. So I mean, these are great problems to have. I'm just really curious. I think the options come into a huge factor. Like, I think it would be smart to have Will Benson start on the 26 man. He cools off, send him down. JJ Bleday's on it until it opens up towards the later end of the year. So I'll be curious to kind of see what we end up doing. Let's go ahead and move on to CES and Nathaniel Lowe. That's our next one. This is a serious take for Nathaniel Lowe. So what are your guys' thoughts kind of going into this first base position?
I'm going to take Nathaniel Lowe only because CES has been so injury prone that I feel like when I look back on his past season and a half, so much of that time has been spent on injury, not even just truly in minors. So I'm going to take Lowe. I really hope CES does hit the ball hard, does well in AAA, and can move back up the roster at some point. I just find that he's buried between a list of names that he's going to have a tough time climbing the mountain and making the roster at some point. But I'm going to take Lowe over CES on there.
Yeah, I already said that's probably who I would take. Seems kind of like the obvious choice as of today. I did a little look back at the 2024 roster to see who was in the outfield. Jake Fraley, Stu, Jacob Hurtubise. So I will take Will Benson or JJ Bleday over all of them.
How far we've come.
Yeah.
I think for me, I would like to say CES, but I think long-term growth, he probably benefits more with developing more in Louisville to start off, right? Getting more, opportunities to, play and more at bats. I do think you need to make a decision on CES in terms of letting him play and get that trade value up if that's something that you want to value, or bring him up and let him be a contributor to the team. But I think you have to make some sort of decision, and they like holding on to these prospects and not trading them unless they are forced to. So I'm not throwing away the CES stock just yet, mainly because he's still so young and has a lot of potential, and I mean just raw strength, but he does have a long way to come altogether in terms of just his game.
All right, so hear me out on this. Maybe the Reds are this forward thinking. I don't know if they are, but Nathaniel Lowe is a lefty that has plus side pop. What if Nathaniel Lowe makes the 26-man roster in the intent that we are going to trade him at the deadline if he pans out at all? And then when that trade happens, we get another bullpen guy, or we load up for the postseason, and then CES can then take that role later on when the rosters open up. I mean, that's a stretch. That's like something to think a lot about, but I don't know. It's curious because, I mean, he would be a perfect trade piece for a team that's looking for a bat going into the postseason.
Would that mean we're sellers though? So isn't that like a classic loser Reds position where they sell off a piece that they don't want to sign next year for future pieces down the road?
I just don't see too many scenarios personally where a team's going to be looking for Nathaniel Lowe unless their first baseman got hurt. That's the only way. I mean, last year the Nationals DFA'd him, and then he got picked up on waivers. So I would think the Nationals weren't dumb enough that they at least tried to trade him before they released him.
Nathaniel Lowe, Edwin Arroyo trade for a closer. No,
Be fun.
It could be fun. Could be. Probably won't happen. All right.
Love talking random trades before the deadline. Everybody got their trade graphs and see what we can draw up on the board.
It's February. This isn't good. All right, here we go. Next one we got is Sam Moll, or Brandon Williamson, but the Brandon Williamson that we would get is a bridge guy, kind of like what we had with Nick Martinez last year.
I'll start. I love the idea of Brandon Williamson being a bridge guy. I don't know how many times we can send him down, so I don't know how many options he has left, to be completely honest, so someone wants to look that up. But Sam Mull does not have any options left. Sam Mull didn't throw me last year. However, he didn't look bad his first game of spring training. He says he feels the best they can. I think when a guy does not have options, you just don't want to not pan out with Sam Mull and give up on him before season even starts. So for that reason, I take Sam Mull and leave Brandon Williamson kind of sit until we need him. But I do love the idea of Brandon Williamson being a bridge guy. His stuff's so good. Give him 3 to 4 innings of that. Give him 2 innings. Like if you need a long, you don't want to start somebody, give him a long start. Like it'd be fun to watch. But Sam Mull.
Did Williamson operate as a bridge guy in 2024 at all? Or was he strictly a starter?
I think he was strictly a starter because didn't we have a bunch of like sporadic injuries during that year?
Yeah, we were throwing different guys all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah, I hear John's point. I'm not really going to refute it, but I'm hoping we get to see a good amount of Williamson this year, whatever form it is. He looked electric, had probably the best inning that a Reds pitcher's thrown this spring training with 3 striking out the side, 3 strikeouts looking that batters tried to challenge and got rung up on. So he used up their the Royals challenges, I think, within the first inning. And that's something that the Cowboy said. Well, now he could bounce the ball up to the plate. Umpire could call it a strike, and there's nothing they could do about it. That's kind of not in the spirit of the sport, Cowboy, but all right.
Love it. Yeah,
My goodness.
Brandon Williamson is an all-time fan favorite. Him tweeting mid-game in 2023 about it pissing rain was one of the – I don't know if you guys know about that or had seen it, but he was on the mound complaining, balls wet, balls wet. They go into rain delay, and one of the beat writers tweets out something along the lines of like, Brandon Williamson trying to call for a delay there. What are we doing? And he tweeted back mid-game and was like, did we not see it was pissing rain or something along those lines? Just an all-time tweet, all-time guy. Can't wait to see him this season.
Is it the equivalent of Lucas Sims just throwing baseballs like at
Yeah.
Exactly.
pouring rain, just tossing them? I think just quickly, just to be the deal breaker, I'm going with Williamson too. I don't know. There were so many times last year Sam Mull just didn't do it for me, and I think just the youth of Williamson and I don't know the idea of long term is better than Sam Mull at this stage.
Yeah, it gets tricky if we're talking, opening day and start thinking about options and stuff like that. But if you take all of those away, I'm definitely going Brandon Williamson.
So
100%.
I'm just like curious. Like I don't think Sam Mull fits in our actual bullpen. Like there's been a lot of conversation. He doesn't have options, right? So like,
Well, like it's
you
too
gotta,
small for him.
yeah,
Like physically, he doesn't fit, or
he
like
can't fit. No, no. Like if you look at their offseason moves, Caleb Ferguson's first one that popped out. He's a lefty, fantastic. I mean, fantastic lefty specialist. Like he'll get it done. We also have Brock Burke, same thing, lefty specialist. All right, so we have 2 of them. Why would we add Sam Mull as a third when we have Brandon Williamson who could do the same thing but also be a bridge guy for a couple innings? Like I feel like just bringing Brandon Williamson up makes way more sense than just having Sam Mull in there just because. Just to have him because he doesn't have options. I don't know. Like, I think the Reds went all in on bullpen this year, and there's a couple guys that are kind of looking at and realizing that they might not make. I don't know. Sam Mull is one of those, but we'll see what happens. I mean, who knows?
It's also a question with Sam Mull of like, do we think May's going to be there? Is Maxwell going to be there? Like, those are guys that I'm easily having that discussion of like, yeah, well, those are 2 dudes we need to bring up over Sam Mull. We already got lefty specialist. May brings a element of having a flamethrower in the bullpen with nasty stuff. Like, yeah, I can see that.
I think Williamson also provides you a little bit of insurance against your 5th starter, whoever that is, because I think Chase Burns early on is going to be a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde, and he'll have some really electric starts and some starts where you just got to get him off the mound. And I think Williamson would play well to keep him rested a couple of days leading up to a burn start in case you're going to need him to eat a lot of innings that day. Because you don't have Suter anymore to throw 3 innings when, all hell is broken loose.
It doesn't seem like he's the guy. Like if Lodolo starts rubbing his finger and like staring at it after like the first inning, and you realize like, oh no, like the blister, he's coming out. Isn't it just seem like Williamson is kind of the guy that Tito's going to bring out and let him pitch 3 or 4 innings just to eat up some innings, essentially?
Could be.
Yeah. So I think we're all in agreement. I think Brandon Williamson, I'm curious what they do with this, but who knows? All right, last one we got is literally what we got, or go out and get a free agent, which I'm not sure who's left. I got a couple lists of free agents. Zach Gallen, but I think he's finishing up signing a contract with the D-backs. Paul Goldschmidt, Rhys Hoskins, and Kike Hernandez. None of those guys really fit with what we have. I don't know if there's anybody else out there, but what are your guys' thoughts? Just keep with what we got or try and do something.
I mean, Rhys Hoskins just provides more issues with that first base decision than anything.
I'm sticking with what we got on this one.
Sticking with what we got. I mean, if you're able to sign Kike Hernandez at the end of September just so he can play in October, I'd do that. But he's a whole different player in October than September, so I'm passing on early season Kike.
Is Goldschmidt's actually a free agent? A little part of me, just because of how like great he was as like a Cardinal against us. But like obviously father
back to the Yankees, but maybe not.
No, I think you're right, Joey. I think you're right.
Yeah, he re-signed for 1 year.
He re-signed. Yeah.
He's so
so I don't know.
He looks so old when he plays, though. A good hitter, but when he starts running, you're like, wow, he looks old.
38.
He's huffing and puffing down the first. All right. So that's kind of like our rundown of 26 man, high or low. Who are we thinking? And literally also high or low on what we're thinking. But it's curious as of right now. This is where we stand with it. I guarantee you in 2 weeks from now, we're going to be thinking something completely different, especially with the World Baseball Classic coming up. We're going to see more guys, more opportunities, because some guys are leaving. But again, it'll be cool to kind of see what's going on. All right, to change the topic, but kind of stay on the spring training thing, we're going to talk a little bit about ABS. I want your guys' thoughts on this new balls and strikes system and what you think it's going to bring to the game, or do you think there's going to be, some things that players or fans don't like about it?
First thoughts, and I'll pass it off, but I wish Angel Hernandez was still umpiring for the season. That would have been a blast to watch. Initial thoughts, though, are like, when I first heard about it, I really want it to be something that's also going to involve the fans. Like, I love it tennis when they're seeing if it's in or out. Everybody's kind of doing the, oh. Like, I think that's adding a cool element. I do see, like, a lot of people saying, like, oh, it's going to add so much time back in the game, XYZ. Like, the MLB is doing so much to limit how long the game goes as is. I truthfully don't think it will, like, make the game that much longer. I think it'll still move quickly. I'm interested to hear you guys' strategy of, like, how you would utilize these ABS ones. Obviously, like Terry said it best, every pitcher thinks that ball is a strike. So you don't just want to have your pitcher using challenges all the time. How would you use the challenges or facilitate them for the Reds?
I would not let pitchers use them. I'd say catchers can challenge pitchers.
That was my question. So, but it goes both ways, right? Like from a pitching standpoint, you can challenge like whether you're batting or in the field, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And from what I've seen, the majority of the spring training, like a lot of catchers are the ones calling for the challenge. And like, not once again to lean back on that quote, but a lot of times when the catcher's the one challenging it, like they are the ones getting it right, versus when the pitchers are the ones calling for the challenge. I haven't seen as much of the success rate. So ABS, I really got thinking it. Charlie G is one of the guys who's a beat writer for the Reds. He had talked about the Mariners game specifically. If you looked at the spring training game, there were 3 runs that we could have easily avoided if we would have challenged something 1 inning later, but we had lost our challenge the previous inning. Whereas the Mariners, they win their challenge, win 3 in a row, go on to get 3 more runs. I think this seriously has potential to where if you don't utilize it correctly, you can lose ball games because of it.
Yeah, I think it's going to lead to a lot more Monday morning quarterbacking by fans and players alike when they're like, I could have challenged that pitch and we would have won the game.
So
Yeah.
I think the like coaching, I guess like strategy, I guess you could say aspect of it is going to be interesting. So it's a 2 seconds. So you have 2 seconds to obviously like tap your head or whatever it is, to challenge it. So there's no like signal you can get, and there's no live feed of the batter's box, in or of the strike zone in the dugout. So they like a coach can't like give you a sign or whatever. I think it's going to be strategic. I think like Tito will look at a guy before he goes up the bat and be like, hey, you have like use your challenge if you think in this scenario. I don't think it's just gonna be like willy nilly like Ellie De La Cruz in the first inning. It's a 1-1 count, right? And he's gonna call like, no, that was a ball or that was a strike. I think it's gonna be more strategic on high leverage situation. But I really hope that they practice with every single player during spring training. Like I would go into a game and be like, hey Sal, try the ABS twice this game or like once, right, in one of your at bats, just so you can get the hang of it. So I'm hoping they do that, but it is gonna be curious. I'm gonna love it though. I think it's gonna be fun. That Great American, you're just gonna go, oh, then it's a strike. You all freak out. I think it's gonna be great for the game.
No, I think high leverage, bases loaded, that last third, 7th, 8th, 9 innings where you need a run and not having challenge is going to definitely backfire. I wish Joey Votto could have seen the day of this world where he would have absolutely just his on base percentage would have just, I mean, it sucks that he's not here to play a game with this because he's so good. And also too, how many times did you watch last year where like whether it's Reds game or just Sunday Night Baseball and it was nowhere close and they were calling it either a ball or a strike and being completely wrong. So I'm glad that baseball doesn't like to change, and I'm glad that they're starting to kind of incorporate a little bit of change.
It's also key
Yeah.
on is when somebody's stealing second base and the catcher's getting up early and out of his stance. They missed so many strike calls there because the umpire's view gets blocked and it's right across the middle and he calls it a
Or a
ball.
bunt and you pull back.
Right.
I'd hate to even toss this out there, but I think you also kind of got to use it for like certain players to give green lights to certain things. I wouldn't mind like Tito giving specifically Suarez and Ellie the green light on it. My reason being, like, if you look at the top 10 list of baseball players last year who had the majority of balls called strikes against them, both Suarez and Ellie are on the top 10 list there. And like, I think Ellie was like third in the MLB, had the most balls called strikes against them. So obviously, like you said, Joe, you don't want it to be like bottom of the first and here's Ellie just tapping the helmet. But at the same time, like I would definitely want some of those players to get the preferential treatment
TJ Friedel, anytime, anywhere.
anytime.
Yeah, you don't want Brian
Um,
Hayes.
Your Gold Glove defender who isn't the best of the plate, just tapping every bat, like that wouldn't be the fantastic way of using it.
That was actually cool. Jim Day podcast. They interviewed Joey Votto this past week, and they're talking about the ABS. And Joey Votto, being Joey Votto, had this like very nostalgic answer to it. But like thinking about that, Mark, Joey Votto would have carved umpires up. Umpires would have lost their jobs. I feel like if Joey Votto had the opportunity to use the ABS, so it would be pretty interesting to see. All right, let's get into our thread segments here. The first one we got is West Side Rants, like always. John, we're excited to hear what the West Side is talking about around Cincinnati.
I talked about it earlier, but I'm going to keep this one short here for you. The fact that I felt like I had such excitement towards the spring training, watching that first game. Next thing you know, next three are only available on radio. It's the year 2026. I think I speak for most sicko baseball fans. If you charged me an extra $10 per month for spring training, just to have one panned out camera so I can hear the crack of the bat, rewatch a home run, do whatever. The fact that I have to hear Suarez is hitting a home run, Ellie bombs 460, JJ Bleday hits a nuke, and I have to go scour the internet. And the only clip I see is the swing of the bat. I don't get to see where the ball goes, just him rounding the base. It's not a great product for fans personally. I don't have the solution, but personally, me, I would pay an extra $10 per month to watch the spring training. I have to try and listen to it on radio. You're going to miss things. You look at box scores, you're not going to hear about Novale Marte booting the ball down the right field line. So just something that I think that we can do better with an MLB product, especially as we try and grow the game.
Yeah, did Marte
That's
bobble a couple of them down in that corner, or did I listen to the
So
same play a couple times?
no, you got it right. So the first one he grabbed, dropped the ball, and it rolled an extra 15 feet behind him. The second one, correct, McLean, the second baseman, picked it up. The second one, and this is not like I said, Novoy Marte's learning a new position. We're not bagging on him. However, anytime I hear high fly ball could go out of here, oh, Marte's turned around and it drops on the warning track, I've got questions. Like, how's the ball so high in the air that we're waiting for 5 seconds to hear the result and it drops on the warning track? So not a great day in right field, but once again, nobody saw it, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't show up on the score sheet. Didn't get an error for either.
wow.
Can't get an
I
error
didn't
for either.
realize I didn't realize he didn't get an error for that. I'm curious. So I'm with you on this. Like, you know what the most frustrating thing is? They still have cameras at the stadium, and they're running.
Yeah,
They're
I'm
They're
still seeing
recording.
clips.
Yeah, you see clips on all over social media and everything. I don't understand why they don't just do what college baseball does with like small Division I schools. They just have a camera that's set up behind the plate and it just runs. Like, you don't even need audio. Like, I would sit
Yeah.
and have that on next to me throughout the day without audio, just watching the game. Like, you know how many like thousands of people in Cincinnati would do that. So I don't know. MLB needs to get with the times. I don't know. All right, going off that, let's get into Mark's metrics here. Mark, I'm excited because we got some Emilio Pagan on some stuff this week. So hit us with the Mark's metrics and what we got.
Yeah, thanks, Curb. Obviously, this segment is brought to you by Masali Law, our once and our only unpaid sponsor of today's show. So just going to give him a quick plug. Obviously, know the owner really well, but this segment's brought to you by Masali Law, your hometown law firm right here up in Blue Ash. Whether it's wills, estates, trusts, or even a personal injury, the Masali Law team's there to guide you every step of the way. So whether life gives you a curveball, just go up to Blue Ash, tell them that we sent you. They'll take good care of you like they would us. So once again, if he gets enough business, maybe we'll get a $15 here or there. But until then, we'll keep plugging for free since we're a little biased for him. Two plays for just bringing it up for a group discussion. Emilio Pagan, 30 plus saves is plus 120. If we think the Reds are going to be competitive and in most to every ball game, he's going to be in a position for, obviously saves is what we're hoping for, but his win count might also be something that might creep up there too if he's in positions where this game goes into extras or whatever it may be. But for how much Tito trusts Pagan, I feel like 30 saves isn't out of this world in terms of his ability. I think he had 32 last year, so kind of right in line of what he did. And then the parlay for anyone that wants to do a little season-long win total for starting pitchers. We have 12 wins total for each of these three starting pitchers between Skubal, Yamamoto, and Peralta. They're all going to be on teams that are going to be winning a lot of games. Detroit, Dodgers, and Peralta just got traded to the Mets. There's going to be a lot of opportunity. Peralta, I looked at his stats. He doesn't miss games. So this is just a kiss of death. And now that he's not a Brewer, he will miss games, right? But great pitcher on a great team, have opportunities against Washington, against Miami, even against the Braves and Phillies are going to be winnable games, especially with the pressure that's on New York to win this year.
Yeah, those are all their team's aces too.
That's crazy. I mean, Skubal and Yamamoto, you can chalk them up, though they'll get wins. Obviously, I know like the win statistic now in baseball is like very, yeah, it's tough, right? But
it's easy as a Dodger, though.
Yeah, very easy as Dodger, right? You'd think Skubal would put himself in situations where that like, he'll be fine. The Peralta one's a little shaky, but I don't know. The Mets this year, the Mets are either going to have the best record in baseball or they're not going to make the playoffs again. So I'm kind of curious to see what they end up
I
doing.
don't know. I think they're going to end up like the 10th to 12th best team.
I was shocked when looking at that second parlay that like Yamamoto and Skubal like were toeing that line last year. Well, I think Screwball had 13, Yamamoto had 12, Peralta had 17 with led, but also Brewers, Dark Magic, not going to have it. You're on the Mets. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I like the Emilio Pagan line a ton. I think that they're just going to do what they did last year, go with the workhorse. They re-signed him for closing money. Like I see that being the guy that they're going to go with. So 30-plus saves since they hit 32 last year. I like that line of plus money.
Peralta the last 3 years.
All right, so we're kind of
I was just gonna say Peralta 33 games, 32 games, 30 games the last 3 years. I mean, he's a machine. So
That's unreal.
yeah,
oh my goodness.
Lots of
95 games in 3 seasons is absurd.
It's the Brewer witchcraft. All right. That's not going to happen this year. He's going to get hurt. It's going to be sad. Sorry, Peralta.
Sorry for the parlay.
You've heard you've heard us too much times as Reds fans, so I don't it's fine. It's whatever. All right. Well, we're getting kind of into Around the League, so let's go ahead and get into Around the League with Joey, brought to you by Toyota Camry. Go ahead and hit us off with some stuff going on in the MLB.
Yeah, so for spring training, I know a lot of you guys don't really want to hear what happened in the Astros Marlins game that doesn't count. So we're going to send out a fan vote to see what our listeners would most like to hear around the league from a preseason standpoint. I could either do a power rankings where, I drop 5 teams a week or an episode and eventually cover all 30 teams. I can preview the teams in a division format, cover the NL East and then cover the NL Central. Or I could do a ranking at positions, which would be like top 10 catchers, top 10 starting pitchers. I'd probably do like 2 of them per episode if we were to go that route. So we'll get up on Spotify, and I think we can do it on Instagram as well. Get a poll question there to see what the listeners would most like. Next Thursday, we're going to be covering the World Baseball Classic, going over the team rosters as it really kicks off a week from Friday. So we'll get you ready for that before it starts. The main thing I had to talk about this week was Connor Griffin is starting to really scare me that he is going to be an absolute superstar for the Pirates. So if you're not familiar, he's a 19-year-old shortstop and outfielder. If you watch him hit and just watch him run around the bases after a home run, he looks like an Aaron Judge like 10 years ago. And yeah, he roped 2 of them yesterday over the Green Monster in Florida at JetBlue Park, and one of them off of Ranger Suarez, and they were absolute tanks right off the bat. So he's starting to scare me. I think he's begging for an opening day spot on that in that Tigers lineup. And then the only other thing is just food for thought. ESPN listed their 2026 MLB lineup rankings. The Reds were put at 24, which, as I look through a lot of these rosters, at first it shocked me. It seemed way too low. There are a lot of rosters that seem to be about equivalent firepower that are ranked within 10 spots of them. And we already touched on how the Reds are going to be mostly a pitching ball club, pitch first team. So, I mean, I think it actually does kind of line up with you average out number 5 pitching, number 24 hitting. Could get right around to that like 86, 87 win mark that we were talking about our first episode. The Mets were ranked number 3. I know we were just touching on them. But their starting rotation has a lot of question marks. I mean, they do have firepower in this lineup. Lindor, Soto, they got Bichette now. But really, if you compare it to last year where they missed the playoffs, they subbed Alonso for Bichette, and I think that's kind of a net loss.
downgrade.
Yeah.
Definite
Yeah.
downgrade.
Yeah.
There's also
Yeah,
just question marks for Bo Bichette playing at third base, moving from shortstop. It's not an easy move to make. I know social media is going to make it look how they make it look, but there's a lot of clips out there currently of him not looking comfortable at third base, so I'll be interested to see how that pans out. Connor Griffin is a tank. And if we're talking just like pure baseball, man, that gets me going. That swing was awesome. His second home run, where it was a little bit more towards center left field,
Yeah.
like you just literally watch the fans on top of the wall as they're holding their beers. slow head turn. Like, it was incredible. I am scared. Feel like they picked up another freak to go with O'Neal Cruz. But the Pirates are going to pirate. We'll see how that ends up panning out.
It's kind of like when they had Garrett Cole and Kutch when he was young.
Yeah.
Like they got one
Yeah.
superstar hitter and one superstar pitcher, and a lot of decent guys around that. But yeah, we'll see.
Connor Griffin is lead for NL Rookie of the Year plus 280.
That's 280. Yeah, that second one was
And
4.
as for the Reds being 24th, like having the 24th ranked offense or ESPN ranking that, like, as a Reds fan, I think that's just something that you have to kind of take on the chin, right? Like, we did pick up Suarez, but last year we were a very bottom ranked offense, and that's why we lost a lot of games. I think if we had a top 15 offense, we would have been looking at a team that was maybe cracking into 90 wins because we had such good pitching, right? So, I don't know if I necessarily put us that low, but I do see us bottom third, so I think they're right around where you'd put them. Like, I
Yeah.
do think 20th, 18 to 22, maybe 24 seems a little bit out, but yeah, I'd have to look at all the rosters.
If you
But so-
compare the rosters, it'll make sense. I mean, the Tigers are down at 22 as well,
Yeah, yeah,
but this doesn't have Nathaniel Lowe in the Reds lineup, so we probably
exactly.
shoot up
That's it.
quite a
That's
bit
it.
once they get him in there.
Do you think Cleveland is looking at that 2024 draft class and is just sweating it out and hoping that their guy would they take the Travis Bazana? Is that how you say his last name? Because that draft class looks awesome it looks like, here, I just had it up. Chase Burns, obviously, Charlie Condon for the Rockies, Nick Kurtz, and then you have Connor
Yeah, they took
Griffin,
Travis.
and then Kansas City, Jacques Calignan. He played last year. He was pretty good
Mark
too.
Caglione. Yeah, he's the one who hit
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
for Williamson, is it?
Yeah, he also just tanked 460 against us the other day. I did see a bunch of discussion around that too, of that draft of like, what would you do if you were the Reds and you could go back and having all the information? Are you still taking Chase Burns? What are you doing? Not a discussion that I personally would like to have because I think you can make a case for batters over Chase Burns, but I love Chase Burns as a player, but you're never going to predict the future. And when you have an arm like Chase Burns sitting there, it's hard to turn that down.
I think
Yeah.
like two things off this. So the first one is I think the projections that people give on the Reds lineup, I think it's true. Like if you were an outside source, not fully knowing the team, like yeah, I would give them those projections because if you think about it, our whole nucleus of our team is understanding that we have a bunch of young guys who need to perform. And as fans and people we follow the team, we're like, yeah, they'll perform, right? Matt McClain's going to turn around. Spencer Steer is going to be an above average hitter, right? Ellie's going to take the next step. But if you just look on paper, like no reporter is going to be like, oh, no, they're actually an above average team. Well, we've never seen that yet. So like it really makes sense. But I think a lot of people do have us kind of creeping into that, hey, maybe a playoff team just because if these young guys do pan out, like it's a dangerous lineup. The other thing too is like kind of looking at like redraft or anything. I think the Reds, what they're doing right now is really good where they draft MLB ready arms because those are guaranteed. And if you do that, you don't have to go out on the open market and try and get a starter, which we can't do. Like we as a mid-market team, we can't do. So like it's kind of cool to see like the Reds, what their philosophy was 4 years ago, starting to actually come to the majors. I think it's working out really, really well.
Yeah, you got to trust the process as a franchise of our size. I'm starting to think that the writer of this also might just hate the state of Ohio because the only decent team behind them is the Guardians, who do still have Jose Ramirez and Stephen Kwan, and they actually have Reese Hoskins as well. The other teams are the Cardinals, who just sold, the White Sox, who I think kind of an underrated lineup, but it's going to take some time before they really get there. The Nationals, Marlins, and Rockies. Little anti-Ohio slander, I believe. And then one more question back to Connor Griffin in that draft class. Would you rather have Nick Kurtz or Connor Griffin?
Ooh. Are you trying to win now? Are you
Yeah,
a team that's
good
trying to
question.
win now?
Well, you're either the Pirates or the A's. So
They're not trying to win it all together.
Okay, if I was a team that needed like one bat to really push to make the playoffs or win the division, it would be Kurtz in a heartbeat. But then, I mean, if you're trying to find like a guy that is going to be your organization for the next 10 years, it's Connor Griffin. Like, there's no doubt about it. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you can't a shortstop / outfielder who's going to hit 300 probably. Like, you can't pass that up.
Kurtz's average was 290, hit 36 home runs, 86 RBIs.
yeah,
Dude,
I'll
he
take
was
it.
on
I'll take that.
Monster.
for sure. 4 home
Yeah.
run game too.
Yeah.
I would take Nick Kurtz because he already won the Rookie of the Year. I also think being a first baseman, he may not command quite a terrible contract down the line. Like, I think Connor Griffin is going to be unaffordable for the Pirates someday.
Yeah.
Nick Kurtz, I think I think that A's are in a better position because I think they'll get to Vegas and they'll have some more money. Who knows where it's going to come from, whether it's ethical or not, but they'll probably be able to afford Nick Kurtz.
Salary cap.
No
That's
way.
true. Yeah,
There's no way a salary cap's going to
the
happen.
game could change.
There's no way. All right. So Joey, thanks for that one. That was actually a really good conversation about what's kind of going on and what's going to impact the Reds. Curious to see if he hits 50 home runs off of us in the next year. So we'll be good. All right. So let's get into our fan thread question here. This one is from @PapaGeorge. It says, what does the Reds record need to be in the Central? They play 52 total games against Central opponents for them to, 1, just make the playoffs, and 2, to win the NL Central.
I
Make the playoffs
now.
To make the playoffs, I would go 26 and 26. I think that's exactly what they went last year. I've always said, beat the division, you're going to make the playoffs. Obviously, that's how you get to playoffs, but you have to beat the division to get there. If you're looking to win the NL Central, I think you have to go. It's not a huge difference. It's not a stark difference, but 30 and 22. Just looking at the numbers, think 30 and 22 gets you over the line. I'm predicting that you're going to have a couple of bad series that you're not looking forward to. I think that 30 and 22 is also important where it's like there are obvious teams that we've struggled with in the Central. The Brewers have given us a lot of struggles. We tried slaying the Dragon a couple times last year. If we can confidently this year even play 500 ball against the Brewers, I think we're going to do exceptional in the NL Central. But 30 and 22 to win the Central, 26 and 26 playoffs.
Yeah, I was going to say 62% of your games. And the way I got there was I took the 13 against the Cardinals, and I said you either got to win all of those or you got to make up for losing any of them by beating other teams, and then you got to go 500 in the rest. So 32.5 if you want to win the NL Central, because the other teams are going to be beating up on them.
Go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say, I think when you assume there's going to be a down year with the Brewers, we've said this every year. I feel like you have to be better against the Brewers. I feel like they've been fine against the Cubs recently. It's for whatever reason, like Pittsburgh just gives them all the fits in the world. Like they can't win a series against the Pirates when you really need them to. Let me pull up their stats, Kirby, real quick about what they did last year, and you kind of go.
Yeah, so I'm on the same take. So like to make the playoffs, I think you got to flirt around that 500. I mean, you can't lose the teams that you're constantly playing, right? They're going to gain an advantage over you. I'm going to have a hot take with the Central though. I think the Central this year is going to beat up on itself. I think everybody in the Central is going to be like close to 500 in just because you have the competitive, Cubs who have a lineup that is an MLB lineup, right? You have the Reds who might break out. You also have the Brewers who have, the witchcraft of just winning whenever they want. So I have the take, if you just get 5, I'm not even going to say 5 games. I'm going to say 3 games above 500 in the NL Central, you win the Central this year. I think if you just get 3 games, so that would be what, 29? If you get 29 wins in the Central,
yeah,
I think you're winning it. Just because
a little bit of AFC,
it's going to be so competitive.
There.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. Yeah.
Well, the AFC North just sucked. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the problem with the Central.
Last year, we went 8-5 against the Cubs, 7-6 against the Pirates, 6-7 against the Cardinals, 5-8 against the Brewers.
26 and 26 last year.
26 and 26. So, I mean, you don't have to you're not going to win every game, but I mean, you got to. I don't think you can lose 7 times to the Cardinals at least.
I think we got to do better than we did last year because we ended up being the worst record to ever
Third.
make the playoffs. And I don't think we can bank on being able
We
to
have to do better.
do that again.
Looking at it, though, the Brewers went 31 and 21 and won the Central last year. So I don't think it's a huge gap. Like I'm saying, last year I think we had a couple of games versus the Brewers that we lost 1-0. We had a couple of games against the Pirates. I remember we lost 1-0. Like a couple of games that you flip, truthfully matter so much. That's why, like, I'm on the same boat as Kirby. I don't think it's going to take you going like 33 and whatever that would be, or 34 wins the Central. I think if you can comfortably get to 30 or 29 or 30, I think you're giving yourself a shot, especially next year when teams can just beat themselves up.
How many wins do you think it's going to take to win the Central?
Well, this is the way I'm thinking about it. You guys, I mean, I could be wrong, but the Cardinals are going to be worse than any team was in the Central last year. And I look at like the NL West for a little bit of what's it like when you have a really bad team in your division. And the Padres won 32 games, finished second. Dodgers won 36 games to win first. And I think we all kind of are misremembering the Dodgers as the most dominant team in baseball ever last year. They really weren't until the postseason.
No, like I don't know. I just find
I think I might have lost you for a second. But yeah, they really didn't take off until the postseason. I mean, we played them in the first round. They didn't get a bye.
I just think it's interesting. Like I don't know that whole like idea of how much do you just need to win. I just feel like as like a Central, even NL or AL Central, you have the smaller market teams. Like I guess besides the Cubs, I don't think we really need to win that much. Like I think it's like 92. Like if we get to 92, I'm feeling great.
So that's what the Cubs had last year. And I mean, throughout Milwaukee's 97 wins, like that's just not going to happen again.
Yeah.
Like 92 seems like if you can get upper 80s, low 90s, that's kind of where you stand. But
leaning back on the data, the last time a team has had under 90 wins in the NL Central and won was in 2007. The majority of the years, like if we're looking at recent history, 2025 all the way to throughout the 2020 season, because that was the COVID season, 2025, 2021, no team had under 92 wins and won it. It was 97, 93, 93, 95, 96, 92, 103. So I do think like you have to put up wins for sure, but I think 90 is going to be a number. Like if the Reds are going to win it, they're going to be above 90.
Yeah.
Is it crazy to think the Cardinals got worse, but the Pirates did get better, and the Cubs are kind of right where they were, and the Brewers always give you fits. Like, are we going to be in this perpetual cycle of like 26 and 26?
I'm freaking out about as a Reds fan, I'm freaking out about the Pirates. We do not perform well against them whatsoever. And I think they did get better. So like, I don't know. You hope that we can take care of business in the Central, but you never know. So
whether it is against Skeens or not, I just doesn't matter. We always find a way to just lose.
Yeah. All right. So that was a really good conversation. At Papa George, we appreciate the support, the comment. Keep listening. And thank you again for posting that question. All right. The fan thread scoreboard stumper. So the answer from our last episode was what Red had the most starts from the year 2000 to 2020, just overall that span. Obviously, a pitcher didn't pitch the whole time. It was Aaron Harang. Had the most starts. Now, I don't know what the number is off the top of my head, but you can look that one up. But again, Aaron Harang, which actually kind of makes sense because he just pitched for the Reds for a long time and he ate up innings and didn't miss many starts. All right, now the scoreboard stumper for this week It is what players from the Big Red Machine have been inducted into the MLB Hall of Fame. Not the Reds Hall of Fame, but the MLB Hall of Fame. Some of you guys out there probably already know them. You can list them when the link in the description comes live. Please fill that out. See what you guys get. You'll get a shout out on the next episode. Now, the last segment we got is our Reds flashback. Now, this Reds flashback is a little different. We're kind of going off of what we did last episode with the clinch miss back in 2010. What we're going to be talking about is Jay Bruce, and is Jay Bruce worthy of being inducted into the Reds Hall of Fame? What are your guys' thoughts on this?
Start pretty basic. I think the answer is yes. Jay Bruce, he's top 10 list for home runs. He's up there for RBIs. He spent a lot of his career here. I think his career was like 13 years, so longevity in the career also matters. But came through the ranks of the farm system, started as a rookie here, played really well, delivered moments like we said last week where it was like NL Central, we clinched it off a home run of his. I think just he was an important enough ball player as well as an established enough ball player with the pedigree that he makes the Hall of Fame one day. Not the Reds Hall of Fame. Let's clarify there. The Reds Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I'm going to
I
go
can tell-
yes. And that's an emotional answer. And I think a lot of it is going to be because of that home run he hit to clinch the Central in 2010. He had a WAR right around 20, and most of that was while he was a Red. A little bit in 1 year in the Mets, but he was by and large not a very productive hitter once he left Cincinnati. But yeah, I think he's nostalgic for a lot of Reds fans of our generation, and I think he probably would get the nod.
I don't know. So I'm reading this article real quick. So the 8 finalists currently for this upcoming season for the Reds Hall of Fame are Homer Bailey, Francisco Cordero, Zach Cozart, Aaron Harang, Mike Leake, Brandon Phillips, Scott Rowland, and Edison Volquez.
I am
feel like
taking
Jay Bruce
BP
would-
number 1 for sure out of that.
Yeah.
Bruce would probably
Yes.
be either second or third when you include all those names in my book. I mean, he's over Homer Bailey in my mind. He's over Coco.
Yeah.
Homer Bailey just had 2 really good games. I know he had a couple good years, like when he was dealing, but like obviously the no hitters are biasly ingrained in our heads.
We just liked his name.
Yeah.
So no lie, like I was going into it like, nah, I don't think Jay Bruce is going to be in the Hall of Fame. But like after you read those names, Mark, I can't think of Brandon Phillips. Obviously, is ahead of him, but I can't think of another player other than Jay Bruce that would be behind Brandon Phillips there. So I mean, maybe, and then clinching the NL Central was a big thing. I was on the fence though. I was like, I don't know, really, and having a 20 WAR for how long you play. I mean, that's really, really good for the span he played with the Reds. So I don't know. Yeah, now I'm confused, Mark. Now I'm confused.
He had 8
You're
and
welcome.
change seasons here, and like didn't have a ton of All-Stars, but he was an All-Star 3 times, Silver Slugger twice. So he has some accolades, but like Joey said, majority of people are gonna remember his home run, NL Central clinch miss. They're not gonna remember all those other accolades.
I mean, he had hit over 20 home runs all but 1 year as a Red. 30 and more than half of those.
Hey,
It's a tough one.
listen, I'm gonna be honest. A guy who can get a whole stadium to go Bruce. All right, I think he's got my vote. That was pretty fun growing up, going to games and yelling that. So, besides that, that has been Off the Thread Reds. Thanks for joining us, and always be on the lookout for our next episode, which will be dropping next Monday morning. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to check us out on social media at OT Thread Reds. And like always, go Reds.